82 months in neutral French oak. No brown in there at all. We don't know what this minerality stuff that we get from the volcanic soil is, but it sure makes the wines hold up for a long time. And still, you have these rich black cherries, but there's a lot more going on in this wine. There's something we call barrel bouquet, a little bit like what happens with tawny port. You get a fruitiness to it, and maybe a little tobacco, and all that energy in the mouth is minerality. Whatever the heck that is, but it comes from the volcanic soils, and it's related to the wine's ability to age like crazy. Get this long finish happening on this thing. It has some aspects that are almost like a burgundy. You could definitely have this with duck. Hi everybody, Clark Smith here. I'm the winemaker for Winesmith and for Two Jakes of Diamonds. Two Jakes refers to Jake Stevens III and his father, Jake Jr., who were Arizona cotton farmers for 50 years. And then in 1999, they bought this amazing property in Lake County at the southeast corner of Clear Lake. And why do I say it's amazing? Well, there are three things about this property that are quite unique. The first is that it's volcanic soil, and so it brings out a lot of minerality. This makes wines that have a lot of palate energy and age a long time. The second is that it's way up in the air, about a half mile up, with very clean air. Unlike Napa, you're not in a bathtub of diesel exhaust. So you have this bright sunlight and thin air, and that gives you a lot of UV, which does good things for suppressing mildew, but also stimulates the grapes to make a lot of color and tannin, and also little or no pyrazines. That's the bell pepper character that you get in lowland Cabernets that have too much water. So there, the volcanic soil is very well drained, keeps the leaf canopy sparse, so the sunlight can shine right through the canopy onto these berries and stimulate this color and flavor and tannin. Now the problem with Lake County is that there's a lot of sunlight and it can bake the fruit, and so you end up with raisins that are just kind of burning off these aromas that get created. But that's not true at Diamond Ridge because it's right on the lake. And so there's a lake effect. About 2:30 in the afternoon, we put on our sweaters, goes down about 60 degrees, and cools that fruit so it hangs on to amazing fruitiness and floral characteristics. I guess there's a fourth thing to mention, which is you're up there in the chaparral with a lot of droughty herbs around, so there will be what we call terroir aspects of rosemary, bay laurel, and sage, which give an extra complexity to the wines. So anyway, I had the privilege of starting to make these wines in 2007, and I had been making Cabernet and Cabernet Franc from all over California, and I finally found the perfect place to make a wine that had a lot of structure but also a lot of fruit in the center. And I like to make wines that age a long time. So here's some examples. This is my Winesmith 2013 cab. It's exactly the same wine, but the difference is that this was aged 60 months in neutral oak. We don't own any barrels that are less than 20 years old, so we don't get any oak character out of them, but they do allow these wines to age and open up and develop complexities. And that wine retails for 50 bucks. So now Jake held a little bit back to put in his special reserve label. I think it's a really elegant label. And so this is a reserve cab. It's the same wine with an additional 22 months. 82 months in neutral French oak. Let's get into this stuff. I just can't tell you how exciting it is to make this wine. And by the way, same price, 50 bucks. So let's see what we have here. So look at that. No brown in there at all. We don't know what this minerality stuff that we get from the volcanic soil is, but it sure makes the wines hold up for a long time. So, Jake has an amazing clonal library up there. There's a lot of different clones of Cabernet Sauvignon. He's got 15 of them in the ground. Jake and I both agree that the best planting he's got is Block 18. So it's a hillside. It's got clone 4 on the bottom. Now, clone 4 is a cherry lollipop clone. It doesn't have a whole lot of tannin, but it has tons of juicy fruit. And then up above it, in the thinner soils, we've got clone 15. It's a German clone, and it has tons of tannin and structure, and also a lot of rich black cherry. So we put those two together, get amazing structure and all this fruit, sort of like a fruit-filled center to the wine. Okay, then we put it through micro-ox, which created a rich light structure and again a lot of longevity, and then we just let it go for 7.5 years. And still you have these rich black cherries, but there's a lot more going on in this wine. There's something we call barrel bouquet, a little bit like what happens with tawny port. You get a fruitiness to it and maybe a little tobacco and some gorgeous aged characteristics. Wow. Now, you're going to think this wine has high acidity. It's actually very low acidity. All that energy in the mouth is minerality, whatever the heck that is, but it comes from the volcanic soils and it's related to the wine's ability to age like crazy. Get this long, long finish happening on this thing. And you know, because of that energy, it's almost... It has some aspects that are almost like a Burgundy. You could definitely have this with duck. And of course the classic prime rib would be fabulous as well. I would certainly try it with one of those black diamond 10-year-old Vermont white cheddars. I also like to pair wine with music, and this guy, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, the Overture, The Doors, People Are Strange, even Iron Maiden's Run to the Hills. I don't really like that song, but it's really good with this wine. And there's a Garth Brooks song called Wolves, the ones the wolves pull down. It's kind of about bankruptcy and banks foreclosing and stuff. It makes this kind of Cabernet just sweet and round with a lot of depth to it. So I hope you will join me for more questions about how this is made, and I think it's one of the best bargains that we put out.